How am I going to start today's show? Gotta think of something new. You talking to me? Are you talking to me? Getting this glue to come out of here is like trying to figure out what I'm gonna do to start this damn show. Come on. Think. But a better question would be, the hell is this? Now George Jetson, what? It's not easy producing television on a daily basis. It really isn't, especially when you're pretty much on your own, except for the neighbor who's mowing his lawn. Today, because it's kind of cruddy out and almost about to rain, I figured I'd stay inside and we would get to this. So, welcome to part 2 of being cool with your customs. If you didn't see part 1, basically we opened up and reviewed this alien figure. This is a very cheap alien action figure from the Leonard line. I say cheap, but cheap in this case does not mean like that it's bad. It just means that it didn't cost a lot of money. It came with another little action scientist that has a flamethrower, and it came with a face hugger and an egg, which are on my desk. But I bought this specifically because it was a lighter color alien, and I wanted to show how to make your stuff look a little bit better, a little more like what NECA would give you, at least when you have a figure which has so much detail in the mold, okay? The thing about it is that you can see when it gets into shadow, you can see the detail on it, but it doesn't really stand out. And I'm gonna show you now how that's done. When I learned how to do this, what it is called with models, with military models and with Gundam robots and such, the term is panel lining. You can go on the internet and you can buy expensive panel lining stuff to use on your models in a variety of different colors and you know, camouflage and all this other kind of stuff. But I'm going to show you how to get it done with just some regular old run-of-the-mill household paints. Now, the first thing to remember when you're doing this is you're gonna make mistakes, and you might even wreck what you are painting on. So the less permanent you can necessarily make the thing in the process, the better off you're maybe going to be in terms of affecting your outcome. What I mean by that is using permanent paints, using permanent markers means it's permanently on there. If you use cheap-ass hodgepodge paints, you can get a pencil eraser often, or a wood toothpick maybe even, and you can remove the parts of paint that you want. Or in the case of if you're making a military vehicle or a battled robot. You can make it look more worn and make it look more battle damaged and scratched up that way. So once you apply the paint, then you actually damage the paint that you worked so hard to apply. Anyway, we're not going to work hard. That's not what we're about here. We're about doing it cheap. And I've been doing this with various Gundam models that I have up on my shelf for quite a while. So I'm fairly confident in what I'm going to do here, but I may make a mistake. And if I make a mistake, I'm going to admit it on camera, and we're all going to laugh. Well, you're going to laugh. Hopefully. Hopefully you're amused and entertained. Anyway, let's go over to the workbench. What do you say? And mess this thing up. It's been a really long time since I've done anything like this. But I think I remember how it goes. What I'm going to use here is just some basic hobby paint that I picked up at a box store. I think it was around 50 cents for the bottle. And I've had it for years, so we'll see what kind of condition it's in. I've done so many things here by the seat of my pants, but this is like I'm really hanging it out here because my paint brushes, I haven't touched these brushes for quite a while. My hand's probably massively unsteady. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to let a lot of gravity and water do my work for me. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put drops of little bits of watery ass paint onto this character. Now I'm going to start out by applying some things here and see how it goes. Like I said, I may make some mistakes, but I think what I'm going to try to do here is I'm just going to do the deep parts of his chest with this darker sort of licorice toned paint. And you do not need a lot for this. As you see, I just dabbed that little bit. That's why this paint has lasted me for years of doing this kind of thing. But if I were doing a military vehicle with panel lining, if you have a white finish, you don't want to go with a basic black. It starts, unless you're going for a black and white, a two-tone or a grayscale presentation. But in this case, I've already got a gold base, so it really doesn't kind of matter what's going on with this. But what I do want to do is just bring out some of the darker H.R. Geiger sort of sculpt that they've got going on with the chest and with the legs. So what I did was I just did a little dab of paint, and I'm going to take my brush over here and I'm going to get it wet, and I'm going to dab it into that paint, and I'm going to make some more water and some more water until it gets real gushy and flows. Okay, there's a point where you add enough water or whatever base you're working with, and again, I advise using water-based stuff to begin with, because you're not going to get chemical reactions happening. But now this looks like sort of flowy, okay? And why that needs to be is so that when you dab it into the space, it just sort of takes up the space. Oh man, look at my handshake, I'm sorry. But you've got a lot of, in one brush, you've got a lot of black that you can begin to just sort of put into the back areas. And don't worry about the fact that it kind of looks spotty to begin with, or that you, again, you know, you're going to make mistakes with this. But later on, you will see what happens when all of this water sort of dries away. And I got sort of this idea of just using garbage paints because I wanted to see how much it took to do some of the effect work that I see on various channels. I didn't want to get out there and spend a tremendous amount of money on doing this. You just dab it in there like Bob. And, you know, it's a really to taste kind of thing. But I like to make sure that the furthest parts down there, meaning into the mold, into the surface, I want to make sure that all of these little pockets get a little silt in them. And again, it does not have to be perfect, and it does not have to be pretty on this first application. But I'm going to do one side of his chest so that you can kind of see what's going to happen here versus how it looked at first. And that's because I didn't prep by taking pictures. But again, that's the freeform nature of the art. This is a licorice. It's not a black. It's more, it almost looks, if you leave it out and let it dry sort of and look at it closely, it's almost sort of a more of a green base than the black you see sort of that. It looks like my hand is shaking, but what I'm doing is I'm very lightly dabbing it in and making sure it stays in the dark area where I want it. Anyway, clean my brush out here real fast. I'm gonna wash my tray off, and we'll get right back to this in a second. By the way, the brushes I'm using are absolute bottom basement garbage brushes from the Craft Aisle at a Box store. Don't overspend on stuff. Just get ones that say that they're made for all purpose, or buy cheap shit and mess it up and throw it away. That sounds terrible, but I mean, you know what I'm saying. You're beginning, so don't spend a lot of money on this stuff. The other thing is, where do I get my neat little paint trays? They're Seresto collar cases. I saw them putting these silly flea collars inside of these really cool tins, and so we've got a lot of pets, so I save the tins and I use them for paint palettes. Everything that I do here is on a frugal basis, because again, that was sort of our mission statement, and so I want to try to get back to that and honor that and show that. And you don't really show a lot of that when you're running around toy hunting. I am not bagging on toy hunting. I love doing it. But in the toy community, we really have a responsibility to renew, reuse, and recycle stuff instead of just buy. So to that end, watch some of these people who do fantastic restorations. Type in Diecast restoration on your search engine there and the old Google machine, and you will come up with some YouTube channels that are just absolutely fantastic. I try to promote them when I can here on our platform, and what that means is, you know, when the old gray matter's working with me. Anyway, let's head away from this desk for a second, and let me show you what's going on over there. Look, over there. Lambo, what are you doing? What I want to do while I'm kind of waiting for the paint to dry on the alien a little bit more is to open this Joker, get him out of the pack. My wife brought this home for me the other day, and this is part of the Three Jokers. I'm sorry. This is part of the Three Jokers edition. There were 3 different Jokers for this setup. There was the clown, don't remember the other 2 names, but anyway, this is the clown. See that? See that? All right. You know, you don't get the best reviews here. You just get some of the more entertaining reviews here. But anyway, this is a, you know, as you can tell, it is a action figure from the McFarlane people. I love their stuff. I think I'd probably buy more McFarlane than anything else. And this was left behind because the box was all messed up. So my wife rescued him. And now we're going to complete that rescue operation. Always retract your blade. We're gonna finish that out by taking him out of this box. And just taking a look at the figure itself. As usual, you've got the character stand and the card. These things are annoyingly put in here with a full plastic insert. So you got to take that out before you can take the rest of the cardboard to the recycling, but it can be done. And then you get my wife's most hated thing about a toy review, the tray shot. There we go, tray shot. And let's get rid of these see you laters. Everybody familiar with the show knows that I hate the see you laters, but there's only 2 apparently. That's nice. Oh look, I got paint on my phone. He comes with a crowbar, which is an important thing because this is the crowbar that he uses to stave in Jason's head. So I think that's a pretty good thing to send with them, although I do prefer, like, you know, a pop gun would have been fun or something like that. And then you also get this dead fish that's been Joker. Oh, it's actually a little Joker fish. Okay. For some odd reason, I'm not entirely up on the fish. Don't quite fished. But it's been a while since I've read some Batman. I got to get back around to reading Batman. I'll try to do that in the last couple of minutes extra that I have in the day. Anyway, okay, so the extras to the side, not much, but the little jokerized fish is cute, and the crowbar is really nice, actually. Very thick, very sturdy. And of course, you get the little trading card, which I will tack up on my wall somewhere, because it is a really cool picture of the Joker. I'll probably put it up next to that Batman up there. Anyway, crap to the side, let's talk about the figure for a minute. This is an awesome face sculpt. I really like it. And in terms of the Joker, I'm pretty particular. I like the Cesar Romero, and then not a lot else. There's been a lot of Jokers out, as there have been a lot of Batmans out, but I think I only have one, maybe two Batmans, and I think this is my second Joker. I don't go bananas on this stuff, but the cloth or the jacket almost feels like soft goods. It's really nice and very flowy. The cuts in the jacket are really well done, so that it actually looks like the seam of the jacket. And you can actually open up the flaps of the jacket to expose his chest cuts and stuff. He does have a very expressive head movement. It feels like there may be like a barbell neck in there. I don't want to goof it up too badly, because his head feels like it clicks into place in a lot of areas, and I kind of dig that. But anyway, you can get a lot of sass out of Joker's head here. The flower is a separate molded attachment, and the arms go all the way around and come out if you really work them. Oh no. All right, there you go. Careful with yours, because mine came right out. Anyway, let's see if they've got, double joints at the elbow, which is super nice. Much more expressive. You've got a holding hand here, and a sort of a gesturing hand, if you will. But that hand does actually hold the mackerel, the Joker mackerel. He's got quite a bit of back and forward, because you've got an ab crunch at the you've got a separation at the chest, and the ab crunch is not bad. The pants actually do, the molded pants actually do kind of move with the waist a little bit, but not a lot of turn at the waist because of the clothing being molded on. You've got a thigh cut right there, and you've got double knees, so he can get all the way up there, and very expressive with his high stepping, which the Joker likes to do a lot of, high stepping and parading. That's the Joker's way. Again, I think this is a really great face sculpt. Can't think of one that I like better. The Mortal Kombat Joker from Mortal Kombat 11 or 1-1 or whatever it is, I can't remember. That Joker actually looks really cool too. And I would love to maybe get my hands on one of those someday. But outside of that, this is going to be right next to my Romero Joker in terms of my favorite renditions of the character. I dig it. I really dig it. I don't feel like I need the other two from the series. I would maybe like the one that sort of looks like the animated Batman Joker, but it's not critical. This is really the one I like. And I think that that's, not having everything is starting to feel so good, people. Cutting loose from treasure hunts, cutting loose from feeling the need to complete. And this is new to me, I'm going to admit. It's very new to me. I think we as collectors, if you watch the flea market video, I had a conversation with one of the guys I buy from fairly regularly. And I think that when you're collecting stuff, when you all of a sudden wake up and realize that you are of this mentality, that you do engage in nerdish in some way. It could be books, it could be comic books, it could be art, it could be models, it could be anything. If you get serious about it, and even remotely serious about it, it becomes an expense. It becomes a clutter. It can become an impairment to your relationships. So you've got to be careful with that. And I think that, we've been preaching, a lot of us that are in our circle have been preaching a new form of nerdism, where completing things is not a necessity. If you feel like any of this is becoming too expensive, it is. If you feel that any of this is becoming too time-consuming, it is. Listen to that inner voice. Pay attention to it. I know I say that with, like a car lying across my desk. And I say that with a Joker action figure, which I have just reviewed. We make these channels and we do these toy reviews so that we can get you some information before you go and make your choices. It's very easy to get involved with one of these channels and feel like you're not doing enough to be one of the big guys, one of the big dogs, one of the big people that collects things and knows all. It's a slippery slope because you don't realize it's coming on, but basically what it is an addictive personality. It's a different addiction maybe, but it can be disruptive. So I would again say that when you watch these shows, watch with the knowledge that I have bought things at clearance a lot of the time. I have been working on getting ideas for these daily shows together for well over a year. Okay? Maybe some other YouTubers don't do that. Maybe some other YouTubers just go out and hit their Target and their Walmart and they post their videos, and that's enough, and that's cool. But I have been putting in serious thought on how we can bring you some consumer information. So please don't feel like my wife and myself are out pumping gigantimous money into box stores. Oftentimes we are only out photo safarying, and I would encourage you to do that. It's almost like conservation yourself. And not grabbing every damn thing up. I have noticed too that, like, I got it the Great Holly Truck Scrabble a couple of weeks ago was And I'm glad I don't have it on video, or that I didn't post it to the internet anyway. It was embarrassing. It was bloody embarrassing that I am having a showdown with like an old codger over a Studebaker M2 Studebaker Holly truck. Come on, people. Sober up. Get a grip. As William Shatner said on Saturday Night Live, "What's wrong with you people? You've taken something that I did for 2 years and turned it into a colossal waste of time." I have been building up to this. We have things that come into the house that I bring in, that I put in line. We're constantly watching the market for wooden toys. We're watching for changes in products, like in Lego, that they are using hemp base on some of their bricks now. Some of their tree fronds. Anyway, they have figured out how to make acceptable tree fronds out of a hemp-based plastic. This is where we would like to focus. This is what we would like to see in the future here at the Monkey Shine Lab. And speaking of here in the future of the Monkey Shine Lab, let's go back over and take a look at the alien over on the desk. And I want to show you what I'm going to do with that now that it has dried up and tacked up some. Okay, getting back to our little friend here. I don't have any pencil erasers in the house for some odd reason. Can't seem to even find one here on my desk. I'm not a big fan of pencils, but I do use the erasers from time to time to do my art. So the other thing that you can do is find a semi-malleable piece of, like you can even use cardboard, or sometimes I'll use wooden cooking barbs for shish kebab. They're really cheap. They're pointy at one end. They're fantastic. But the other thing you can use is this, which is kind of like a Tootsie Roll Pop stick. Okay, the heart of it. You take all this fuzzy crap off because you don't want that sticking to your paint. That's for creating wounds and movement and fire, which we will cover at some other point, maybe. And I have sped this process up tremendously. What I would normally do would be to apply a washy layer, let it dry, scrape it, maybe reapply, and etc. But I've been trying to do this like really kind of quick so that I can get an episode out of it. I am going to keep finishing this, but it's probably a bunch of it's not going to happen on camera because it's just more meditative for me. But if I bring this in a little bit now, you can see that there's a tremendous amount of detail in there that under, white light or whatever, it doesn't really come out. But when you apply a little paint to the inner parts and then go back to it and sort of remove some of the paint from the reliefs that are coming out. And the reason why I like to do this with a paint eraser is because it kind of removes it and kind of gets it out of your way at the same time. I'm just using this because reasons. And normally too, with a paint eraser, you're going to get down to that secondary level of lines which are going sort of up and down, okay? But as you sort of remove some of the sloppiness, which you can still see over in here and up here on the collar. And the reason why I use semi-porous picks and stuff like that is because this will not damage and gouge the plastic. But as you can see, it starts to bring out what you're looking at. And you can start to see all the detail that they put in there. And again, this is something that I would be sitting here kind of looking at and working on quietly by myself. So I will get to that point, but you know, where I'm not doing stuff on camera. And I apologize if you want to see the whole process. Perhaps I will. I got to get to the point where I can do live, and then I can have people just come in and watch what I'm doing while I'm doing it. But currently, we're just not a big enough channel to afford that sort of jump in ability to provide programming. We'll get there someday. I'm not worried. But anyway, as you can see, it starts to look a little more like burnished armor, and a little less like just cheap molded plastic. And I will do the rest of the deep work, which is this sort of dark licorice, and then we will come back to them. But already, you know, you can start to see where this is going and how different it's going to be when it's finished. I really appreciate the fact that that any of you have shown any interest in this. It's actually one of the more watched episodes of the last couple of weeks. So, like I said, I felt like I really did need to get back to it as quickly as I could and show you that I'm not, wow, I got stuff falling over. Show you that I'm not stringing you along. We're actually going to do this. We're gonna make this alien look badass by the end of it. Stick around. So, moving stuff around, I snapped one of my phone frames. Now I'm down to one. You don't try to fix those things, they just don't fix. So I gotta go comb the Goodwills and try to find those selfie sticks that are disappearing. People are becoming YouTubers. All right, everybody. Speaking of being a YouTuber, we would really appreciate it if you could reach out to some of your friends and ask them to join us here on this channel. And come, stay for this stupidity. Come for the crafting. I don't know. If you like what you see, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any cats being chased by dogs and knocking more shit over here in the old lab, because I'll tell you what, every time you tune in, it's something different. Thanks for coming out, everybody. I'll see you again tomorrow.